Hello, second grade, and welcome back to another science investigation. Today we're going to continue our investigation on solids mixed with water. We're going to take a look at the bags that were left overnight, and we're going to make our observations and record our observations to tell what happens when solids are mixed with water. Let's begin. In our first bag here, we have the raisins. So remember, at first we had a lot of raisins inside, and I placed some clear transparent water inside of the bag. You can always pause this video and go back to your notebook to look at what it looked like before, or you can pause the video and go back to the other video that we had that showed the raisins and what they looked like before we placed the water inside. But there was a change, so let's get a closer look. I'm going to place the raisins on top of a plate, and we're going to watch to see what happened. So as you can see, I placed the raisins on top of a plate to get a closer observation. Observe what happened in the water, which is a liquid, and with the raisins, which is a solid. Okay, so as you look on the video, you can use your sight to make your observations. Now I will give you a hint with this one, since you weren't able to do this yourself. When I touch the raisins, I noticed that they're not as hard as they were before. They're very, very soft. I wonder why. I want you to pause this video. I want you to record your observation in your notebook or on your Google slide, so that we can come back to this at a later time and discuss all the different types of changes. Our next solid that we're going to take a look at is in this bag. Can you even tell what this solid was before? It made a major change. This was our mung beans. Okay, so we're going to take the mung beans out of the bag to get a closer look. So these are our mung beans on a plate. As you can see, the mung beans did make a change inside of the water, and as you can tell, after I poured it out onto the plate, there's no water even left. What happened to the water? We have the mung beans. There's still some of the green on it from before, but then something has sprouted out of the mung beans that's like a creamy white color. Also, if I press down on the mung bean, it's much softer than it was at the beginning before I put the water in. Now I can actually break through the mung bean. So the mung bean has actually gone through a lot of changes, both with the liquid and with the solid. So I want you to record your observation, because we're going to take a closer look to see why that happened. Our next solid, it's not even there. Do you remember what was inside of this bag? If you guessed mint, you're correct. Yes, the mint was inside of this bag, but it's no longer there. But I'm still going to pour this out on a plate. We're going to take a closer look. Now this one took a lot of careful pouring, but as you can see, the mint is no longer, or was no longer, in the bag anymore. And when I poured it out, all I was left with was liquid. But there was a change with the water as we left the mint in the bag overnight. So what happened? What observation can you make from this plate that I have in front of us? Well, we started to already notice the changes before, when we started pouring the water inside. And here we see that the water turned a color. Make sure in your notebook that you include the colors and the texture, all the different property words to describe what happened with this solid that was in water. Up next, we have rice. So this is the rice that was left inside of our bag of water overnight. And there has been a lot of changes to this rice, so let's take a closer look. Okay, here is our rice that was left inside of water overnight. It's hard to tell, but the water is here, right here, and it is still transparent, actually a little translucent, because it does have a little bit of a color to it, like a light grayish color, but it's hard to see in the plate. The rice is not as hard as it was before. It is a little bit softer than it was before, so that was a change too. But did it change color like the other ones? No. Did it disappear like the mint? No. It just made a couple of changes. Got a little bit softer. So you can record this in your notebook or your Google slide, and we're going to take a look at our last solid to see what changes it made. Our last solid that we're taking a look at is the wooden stick. So last time when we started to place the water inside, we did notice a slight change that happened right away. The water started turning yellow, and it turned even more yellow as the night went on. So I'm going to take this out. I'm going to place it in the plate so we could take a closer look. Okay, here's our wooden stick on top of the plate. As you can see, we have the yellow liquid at the bottom. The wooden stick is still hard, which is good, but the color has faded from it a little bit. So we did notice before in our first observation of the solid that the wooden stick had a color to it. It was bright yellow. But now the yellow has faded just a little bit. It's like a lighter yellow. Perhaps because it was left in water overnight for a long period of time. So I want you to also take this information and record it in your notebook so that we can have it at a later date to go back and review. So as you can see, these are our solids that were placed in liquids and left overnight. And it seems like all of them have made a change in one way or another. Some changed with size, some changed with shape, some changed with texture, and believe it or not, you can't tell this part on camera, but some even changed in smell. So, as scientists, we discovered that some changes happens when we mix our different states of matter together. Now I wonder what would happen if I left these items out in a plate overnight. Would there be another change? Would the liquid still be there in the morning? That's an investigation for another day. I hope you enjoyed part 2 of our investigation of solids with liquids. And don't forget to record your observations in your notebook or your Google slide so that we can go back to it later and review.